August is underway and the main stage of European competition edges closer and closer. We're halfway through qualifying, a crucial yet still largely overlooked period of UEFA's three senior men's competitions. It may not always contain the very big names of the continent's game, but it doesn't lack the drama, entertainment and passion. UEFA's second qualifying rounds only finished last week, and to keep in time to the late August draw deadline, we have to dive straight into the third qualifying rounds of the UEFA Champions League, UEFA Europa League and the UEFA Conference League. As you'd expect, it's the smallest round so far in terms of overall teams, featuring two separate paths to each of the three competitions. In the Champions League, the Champions path gets no new entrant. The 12 winners from the second qualifying round progress and are drawn into 6 ties. Reaching this stage is significant for all involved, as it guarantees them a minimum of a Conference League main stage spot from here on out. Late year European football of some form is now guaranteed to these 12 clubs. It's the same story for the league path, which has had 2 winners from the second qualifying round progress. These 2 tie winners are this year joined by 6 new entrants, 4 teams who finished as runners-up in their respective leagues, as well as the 3rd place team from the Netherlands and the 4th place team from France. The Europa League splits into 2 paths to this third qualifying round. The newly formed Champions path features the 12 losers from the UEFA Champions League second qualifying round, split into 6 ties. In the separate league path, the 9 tie winners from the second qualifying round are joined by the 2 losers from the UCL League path, as well as 3 new entrants. This year, they are reigning holders of the Swiss Cup, the 3rd place team in Ukraine, and the 3rd place team in Czechia. They form a 14-team round with 7 ties drawn. Down in the Conference League, the Champions path consists of 8 teams, 6 tie winners from the second qualifying round, as well as the 2 teams who received byes to this stage, Finnish team HJK and Northern Irish champions Larn. The 2 byes have come about through necessary allocation changes, with UCL holders Real Madrid already qualifying for the Champions League through domestic league performance, and Russian sides currently facing indefinite exclusion from UEFA competitions. The main path remains a hefty round, 52 teams in total, which are formed from the 43 second qualifying round tie winners, as well as the 9 losers from the Europa League second qualifying round, 26 ties in total. In all, across all 3 competitions, there are 106 teams featuring in third qualifying rounds this season. Just 9 of those teams, however, are brand new entrants, representing a step up in UEFA nation ranking and league quality, with the likes of France, the Netherlands, Belgium and Scotland among those arriving. From those 9 new entrants, I've been able to pick out 5 of notable interest, 3 from the Champions League and 2 from the Europa League. In this video, we're going to take a closer look at them and the stories that have got them entering European football at this stage of qualifying. Running through in an alphabetical order, here are 5 teams to watch out for in UEFA's third qualifying rounds. SC Twente, Netherlands, UEFA Champions League. A familiar name within Dutch football, but not one of its true giants when it comes to success. SC Twente are based within the city of Enschede, close to the German border. The Twente club name comes from the region of Twente that the city sits within, the easternmost part of the much larger Overijssel province. SC Twente are a relatively young football club, formed back in July 1965 after the merging of 2 professional teams, Sport Club Enschede and the Enschedese Boys. Life began in the Eredivisie, and the club has spent all but 2 seasons in the top flight since. Twente have just a single Eredivisie title to the name so far, coming in 2009-10 during a somewhat golden period to the club. The Tuckers have finished as runners-up on 3 total occasions, recording 3rd and 4th place finishes numerous times over the decades. Those league performances have been coupled with KNVB Beker triumphs in 1977, 2001 and 2011. High league finishes have seen SC Twente earn many campaigns in European football, their peak season being 1974-75 when they lost to Borussia Mönchengladbach in the UEFA Cup final. Twente have had group stage appearances in the Champions League and the Europa League since the turn of the century, most recently reaching the Europa Conference League playoff round in 23-24. 24-25 sees a return to Champions League qualifying for the first time since 2011-12, where they reached the playoff round before losing to Benfica and ultimately reaching the Europa League round of 16. Part of the league path as the Netherlands' 3rd place finisher this season, Twente face a 2-legged tie this August against Red Bull Salzburg. SC Salzburg, as they had to be known in Europe, have been Austria's dominant force for nearly 20 years now, but surprisingly finished runners-up to SK Sturm Graz last season. SC Twente host the tie's second leg, doing so at their home since 1998. De Grootsteste, translated to the Groot Fortress, is a 30,205 capacity stadium that's one of the largest anywhere in the Netherlands. It was known as the Arkenstadion until 2008, with its current name coming from the local Grolsch brewery. It's gained tournament pedigree from UEFA Women's Euro 2017, where it would hold the final 2 matches. Netherlands beat England 3-0 in the second semi-final and then defeat Denmark 4-2 in the final to win their first tournament on home soil. SC Kryvyi Rih, Ukraine, UEFA Europa League. A new face on the European stage and still a relatively new face to Ukrainian football. Kryvyi comes from Kryvyi Rih, a city in the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast in central Ukraine, home to around 600,000 people. The club in its current form has only existed since 2020, but there has been a city team playing football for longer. SC Kryvyi Rih date back to 1925, competing throughout the era of the Soviet Union and playing between Ukraine's second and third tiers during the 1990s and 2010s. Hiernik would withdraw from professional competition in 2016, remaining idle for a year before re-establishment as an amateur side for the 2017-18 season. They would apply to professional status and join the Ukrainian third tier the following year. It was in the summer of 2020 that Hiernik took their current Kryvyi name, a restructuring of the club which saw the first team change its look and the new second team formed to compete in amateur competitions. The move was done on the request of Ukraine's president Volodymyr Zelensky. Kryvyi began playing in the 2020-21 season and had made a quick ascent. Consecutive runner-up promotions saw them go from the third tier to the top tier in just 2 seasons, recording 7th place and 3rd place finishes in their 2 full Premier League seasons so far. It is that 3rd place finish in 23-24 that has handed Kryvyi a European debut, entering in the Europa League 3rd qualifying round with a 2-legged tie against Czech club Viktoria Pilsen. The Ukrainians have the first leg, but like all sides from the country, won't play the game in Ukraine due to the ongoing war. The neutral venue for this leg is a familiar one to European followers, the Kozicka Footballover Arena in Košice, Slovakia. The new stadium first opened as a 2-sided venue in 2022, recently expanding to an enclosed 4-sided stadium that holds 12,658 people. It is the natural home of SC Košice, but was notably used by Ukrainian club SC Dnipro 1 during their Europa Conference League run in 22-23. Rangers, Scotland, UEFA Champions League. Arguably the biggest side you will find at this stage of European qualifying, Rangers are Scotland's record champions, possessing a decent level of continental pedigree. The club from West Glasgow date all the way back to March 1872, though there will likely be some Celtic fans who will claim the Gers are a lot younger than that. They are 55-time champions of Scotland, most recently in 2020-21, as well as 34-time Scottish Cup winners and 28-time Scottish League Cup winners. Rangers are nowadays back to where they always should be, the other contender for the top prize in Scotland, aiming to go toe-to-toe and best their Glasgow rivals each season. A bit over a decade ago, though, that wasn't the case. Rangers have been continuously based in the Scottish top flight until a financial crisis in 2011-12, which saw the club enter administration and subsequently saw the original company liquidated. Rangers would have to restart in the Scottish 4th tier and ascend back up the pyramid to return to their previous level. It would take 4 seasons in total to go from the Scottish League 2 to the Scottish Premiership, returning in 2016 and instantly finishing 3rd in the top flight. After coming 3rd again in 2017-18, Rangers were finished exclusively 2nd or 1st in the Premiership table ever since, winning a Scottish Cup in 21-22 and a Scottish League Cup in 23-24. Their quick ascent and return to the summit means that their break from Europe hasn't been particularly long. They'd reached the Europa League playoff round before liquidation and returned to the Europa League for 2017-18, earning a European campaign in every season since. Rangers' continental experience includes a Cup Winners' Cup triumph in 1972, having twice made the final previously. Since the turn of the century, they've had a number of campaigns in the UEFA Champions League group stage, but have most notably caught the eye in Europe's secondary competition. The first headliner came back in 2007-08, dropping down to the Champions League group stage and into the knockouts of the UEFA Cup as it was known back then. Panathinaikos, Estal Werder Bremen, Sporting CP and Fiorentina were beaten on a run which took Rangers all the way to the final, making a short trip down to the City and Manchester Stadium where they would ultimately lose 2-0 to Russian club Zenit. Their second headliner is much more recent, coming in 2021-22. Having progressed through their Europa League group in 2nd place, they'd knock out Borussia Dortmund, Crvena Zvezda, SC Braga and RB Leipzig to reach a 2nd final. Over in Seville, with thousands present, they would again have to suffer the pain of defeat though, beaten on penalties by Germany's Eintracht Frankfurt after a 1-1 draw. It's Rangers' recent runs in Europe's secondary competition that has greatly aided the Scottish coefficient and provides them with a spot in the UCL League path to kick off their new European campaign. There is an argument that the best thing for Rangers would actually be defeat at this stage or the next round, which sends them into the more open Europa League main stage and away from the strong Champions League main stage, especially in this new era where there is no dropping down a level for the knockout rounds. They'll begin in the Champions League regardless, where their opponents are second round qualifiers Dynamo Kiev. Rangers have the second leg, playing elsewhere in Glasgow than their Ibrox Stadium for the time being. Ibrox is currently undergoing renovation work, meaning that the Gers will start this season at Hampden Park, just a few miles to the southeast. Hampden Park is a truly historic place, Scotland's national stadium, though not the largest in total capacity. The 51,866 ground dates all the way back to 1930, with plenty of pedigree coming from domestic cup finals, Scotland internationals and international tournament fixtures among other events. Royal Union Saint-Gilloise, Belgium, UEFA Champions League. One of Belgium's oldest, most successful sides, currently enjoying a period back in the spotlight. Les Unionistes originate from Saint-Gilles, one of the 19 municipalities of Brussels, founded back in November 1897. They are 11-time champions of Belgium, winning the first title in 1904 and the latest in 1935, notably going on a record 60-game unbeaten run between 1933 and 1935. Their golden era, though, ends after the Second World War, declining into a club that at best bounced between the first and second tiers of Belgian football. Relegation from the top flight in 1973 started a period of nearly 50 years in the lower leagues, sinking to as low as the fourth tier by the 1980s. The story of their modern-day success begins in the late 2010s, with Brighton and Hove Albion chairman Tony Bloom becoming majority shareholder of the club in May 2018. A long-awaited promotion back into the Belgian Pro League would come just 3 years later. Union's impact in the top flight has been instant, mounting title challenges straight away. They have so far recorded final positions of second, third and second in their 3 full seasons, competing in a league format that uses a 34-game regular season and then an additional championship group for the highest ranked sides. Whilst they are yet to claim a league title, one that would be their first in nearly 90 years, they have recently recorded cup success, defeating Royal Antwerp last May to win the Belgian Cup for the first time since 1914. Royal Union Saint-Gilloise earned a Champions League start for this season though, having finished second in the Pro League Championship group, just a point behind eventual winners Club Brugge. They enter the UCL through the league path, facing Czechia team Slavia Praha in the third qualifying round. The Belgians have the second leg of the tie, hosting it at what has become their common European venue. Union's official home is the Stade Joseph Merien within the Forest municipality of Brussels. It's a nearly 125-year-old stadium that seats 9,400 people but doesn't meet UEFA stadium requirements to European competition. Union instead play European home matches at the Stade Constant van den Stok, otherwise known as Lotto Park commercially. The 22,500 capacity, modern, very purple stadium has been home to Royal Sporting Club Anderlecht since 1917 and notably held the first semi-final of UEFA Euro 1972, a 1-0 win to the Soviet Union over Hungary. Servette SC, Switzerland, UEFA Europa League. We're ending this video with a Swiss club that is more historic than some may first realise. Servette are based in the Romandy city of Geneva, right down in the southwest corner of Switzerland, taking their name from the district of the city that they originate from. Servette formed back in 1890, starting out as a rugby club and having a more popular football department formed in January 1900. The first century of life is filled with success, winning 17 top-flight titles and 6 Swiss Cups during this period, as well as reaching the quarter-finals of the European Cup Winners' Cup on 2 separate occasions. They have the joint third most titles of any Swiss club in history, beaten only by SC Basel's 20 and Grasshopper Club Zurich's 27. Life since their last league title in 1999 has not been as good though. Les Grenats had been constantly in Switzerland's top flight since founding, but bad financial problems led to a decline that culminated in relegation to the third tier in 2005 as the club's parent company was declared bankrupt. Debts were over 10 million Swiss francs, players hadn't been paid for months, and several of them had left Servette in search of other teams. Servette were forced to reform in the third tier, with their under-21 side taking the senior club name and starting out in front of smaller than normal crowds. Promotion into the second tier was instant, and the Geneva side would be back in the top flight by 2011. The third season back ended with European qualification. exiting the Europa League third qualifying round at the hands of Rosenborg the following year, but that season would also see relegation out of the Super League, marking the first time that Servette had fallen out of the top flight for sporting reasons. It would take 6 years to return to the highest level again, and their current stay in the Super League has seen the club boost their status up to one of being a regular European qualifier, enjoying major success for the first time in 23 years when they won last season's Swiss Cup. That books them a starting spot in this new season's Europa League, having last season started out in Champions League qualifying, dropped into the Europa League group stage, and ultimately ended their campaign at the Conference League round of 16. Servette will face second qualifying round progressor SC Braga in the first half of August. The Swiss club hosts the second leg, doing so at their long-term home, the Stade de Genève. Based right by the railway tracks in Lancy, it opened back in April 2003, going on to gain tournament experience at UEFA Euro 2008, with further experience scheduled from the 5 total games at UEFA Women's Euro 2025. The 30,084 capacity stadium has hosted numerous international matches over the years, a good number of those being ones where it operated as a neutral venue. That was 5 teams to watch out for in UEFA's third qualifying rounds. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the Matchday Man for future videos. There's plenty more teams to dive into as the European season progresses. I'll see you then.